The moment you realize this isn't noise,
It's already too late. What we saw at Davos wasn't just a speech. It was a leak, a confession without any words. It was a crack in the mask of power. Let's be clear, Donald Trump didn't just randomly attack Gavin Newsom because he felt like it. He attacked him because something fundamental shifted. And people like Donald Trump, they only strike out like that when they feel a threat moving in way closer than they ever expected. See, this is how real power transitions actually begin. It's not with tanks in the streets, it's with a subtle change in tone. It's with fear, it's with obsession. These kinds of political shifts, they always whisper before they roar. And Donald Trump just exposed his obsession for the entire world to see. So that begs the real question, doesn't it? Why this specific reaction, right now, at this specific moment? Why go after a governor on a global stage? The timing of it all? Well, that's everything. And this gets right to the heart of it. Donald Trump isn't just reacting to simple opposition. He's reacting to something way, way more dangerous. The idea of replacement. You can crush opposition. You can fight it, you can defeat it, but replacement, you can't crush that. Replacement is the future. So, the battle at Davos? It had nothing to do with policy. It was a silent fight for symbolic leadership. It was a shadow struggle over who the world is already quietly rehearsing in its mind for the top job. And this right here is the tell. It's the signal. Strong rulers, they just ignore threats like this. But insecure rulers, they feel the need to narrate. And Donald Trump, he narrated. Oh, he posted, he lashed out, he tried with everything he had to shrink Gavin Newsom, to reduce him back to just some local, irrelevant figure. He was desperately trying to poison the image before it had a chance to set.
now this kind of behavior, it isn't new. It's actually a very predictable pattern. It's a framework that rulers have followed for more than 500 years whenever they feel their grip on power is threatened.
Machiavelli himself described this exact stage. He called it the consolidation phase. This is where the ruler starts reacting more than he acts. He spends his time narrating enemies instead of creating futures. He starts policing symbols instead of actually expanding his influence. He gets obsessed with loyalty, and he attacks character, not capability. These are the 5 classic signs of a ruler who is defending power, not building it. Think about it. That long, detailed list of grievances Donald Trump had, infrastructure, crime, fires, that wasn't about persuasion. Not at all. It was an emotional discharge. It was triggered because he felt he was being compared. And for the kind of symbolic power he's built, comparison is absolutely lethal. And then you get the contradiction. The public rage, immediately followed by private politeness. This is the oldest trick in the book for a ruler who's in trouble. You attack your rival in front of the masses, but you manage them behind closed doors. That's split behavior. That's where the fear leaks out. And their attacks on each other weren't random either. Donald Trump was trying to paint Gavin Newsom as incompetent. Gavin Newsom, on the other hand, was trying to frame Donald Trump as decaying, as obsolete. You have to understand, in a power struggle like this, being seen as from the past is way more fatal than being seen as criminal. And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. There's a really disturbing statistic that shows 70% of major power transitions in the last century were preceded by this exact kind of sustained public obsession from the person in power. It's a historical warning flare that the system itself feels a threat. So when a system enters this unstable phase, according to that Machiavellian pattern, it doesn't just fizzle out. No, it always leads to one of 3 pretty dramatic outcomes. The first path is consolidation. Here, the ruler succeeds. They tighten control, they bend the institutions to their will, and power becomes totally vertical and personal. This can create short-term dominance, for sure, but it also creates long-term brittleness. The whole thing requires constant pressure just to hold together. The second path? That's symbolic displacement. This is where the rival's image becomes so solid that the sitting power just gets bypassed. This is how legitimacy really dies. Not when it's attacked, but when it's just ignored. When the whole conversation just moves on without you. And then there's the third path, the most chaotic one, fracture. This is where the struggle creates 2 parallel centers of gravity. The empire might still be standing, but it's not coordinating reality anymore. Power isn't flowing through one channel. The entire system gets hollowed out from the inside. All of this brings us to a really chilling realization. This fight, It's not about who is right or who is wrong. It's a rehearsal. It's an audience being emotionally trained to associate one name with decay and another with defiance. And you have to remember this. Power is at its most volatile, its most dangerous, when it feels like it's being replaced before it's actually been removed. Because at that point, it stops trying to govern the future. It just tries to block it. History never sends a memo when it's entering one of these dangerous corridors. It just leaves clues, little things, tone shifts, strange fixations, symbolic fights on foreign stages. These battles over legitimacy, these are the signs you have to watch for. Because ultimately, political systems don't break when people stop believing in the person in charge. They break when people start actively imagining an alternative. And what we all saw at Davos, well, that was proof that the imagination has started to move. And that leaves just one final unanswered question. Which of these paths do you think we're already on?